The yarn over. The yarn over is a super simple technique that adds interest to a knitted garment. As a new knitter, it's probably something that you will do as a mistake when you don't take a stitch all the way off the needle. A lot of times, or new knitters end up making yarn overs when they didn't mean to. But I'm going to show you how to make an intentional yarn over. Right here is a shawl that I made a few years ago. It's called the Whiteout by Melanie Berg. It's an absolutely beautiful pattern. And it has yarn overs. As you can see, every one of these little holes here is made by doing a yarn over. You can see them there. They're just kind of all through there. As you can see, they give it that lacy, drapey look, and it makes it look really lovely. So I'm going to show you how to do it. It's super simple. And here, hang on just a second. Now, of course, this yarn is much thicker than this. This was lace weight yarn. So it's going to look a little bit different, but the technique is exactly the same. So when you're making a yarn over, let me knit a few stitches here. Here, we'll do 3, and now we'll do a yarn over. Whenever your work says yarn over, which is usually written as YO for yarn over, what we're going to do is you're going to take your yarn, you're going to come under your needle and bring it over your needle, just like that. Now your yarn is back in the back, and then you just continue knitting along. Let's do that again. Here we go. It says yarn over. You're going to want to take your yarn around underneath the needle and bring it over the needle, and then you just keep knitting. Let's do that one more time. I'm going to come under, over, and then you just keep knitting. Actually, as you can see in this piece of work, even though it's a much thicker yarn, see those holes? That is where I did a yarn over on this in an earlier row. As you can see, it makes that hole there that's just like this. It's just an intentional hole in your pattern, and it's just kind of to give it a little decorative look there. I'm going to go to the end and show you what we do when we do a yarn over between 2 purl stitches. It's actually just a little bit different. Here, so let me get all the way to the end here. Now, if you're doing a yarn over on a purl row, again, when we knit our purl stitches, we go in tip to tip, purlwise we call it. Our working yarn is in front, and we're doing that purl stitch. But here's the difference. When we're on a purl row, let's say that the next stitch is a yarn over. When you're doing a yarn over between 2 purl stitches, if I just brought the work to the back here, I'm not in the right position to actually purl the stitch. So when I have a yarn over between 2 purl stitches, I have to go over here, but bring it all the way back to the front, so I am in position to do a purl stitch, because we know that with the purl stitch, the working yarn is in the front of the work. So I go in tip to tip, and then you just purl the next stitch like normal. Let's do that here one more time. So if it says yarn over and there's a purl stitch is the next stitch, we know that we're going to have to go over this needle all the way around that needle and bring that yarn back to the front. So it's still basically the same technique, it's just a little bit different if your next stitch is a purl stitch. Let me do that one more time for you. go in here. We'll do the purl. Sorry about that. And then if it's a yarn over, we're going to go around. We're going to come all the way back up to the front. Then you purl the next stitch. That's how you do a yarn over if the next stitch is a purl or you're doing it on a purl row. This stitch that we're going to do here is called a yarn over. Let me knit a couple first. So sometimes a pattern will call for a yarn over, and it's kind of like a decorative hole, okay? So you'll find yarn overs a lot in lace work. Right now we're doing a knit row, so our yarn is in the back. And so when your pattern says to do a yarn over, what you're going to do is you're going to take this yarn from the back, bring it to the front, and wrap the yarn over the needle. And then you're just going to continue on with your pattern. So let's say right here my pattern calls for knitting a stitch, and then it says do a yarn over. Again, we're going to wrap the yarn from the back. We're going to bring it under the needle, wrap it over the needle, bring the yarn over, and then we're just going to continue to knit. Let's do another yarn over. We come under, wrap it over the needle, and continue on. Let's do one more. Get some yarn going here. We come under, over the needle, and knit. Let me just finish this row really quickly. Now what that's going to do is when we come back and knit through that, that's going to leave a little hole in each one of those spots. So a lot of times with lace work, that's how you'll make those little holes in the lace that look so lacy and pretty and make your scarves and things so drapey. But we're actually just making a hole in the yarn there. That's a yarn over.